Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the third episode of our Dwarf subraces. If you'd like to check out the Dwarf playlist in its entirety, or the race playlist in its entirety, please click on that little eye icon up in the top corner there, or wait until the end of the video and click on one of the end cards. We're going to be getting a lot of these races done back to back to back here, so you're likely going to miss a couple here and there, so just check out the playlist. It's the easiest way to do it. In any case, today we're going to be taking a look at the Mark of Warding Dwarf, which is found in Eberron Rising from the Last War. The Eberron book, or books I should say, because there was a reprint, in general are one of the more touchy supplements in the 5e landscape. Initially, there was a lot of kind of broken mechanics, especially as it regarded to the Warforged. However, even the marked races were met with a decent amount of controversy as well, and I know a ton of DMs that just straight up don't allow them in their games. Personally, if I'm a DM, I don't really so much care. That being said, I totally understand why people don't like them. They're very similar to the backgrounds from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica in the way that they are kind of the obvious choice if you sit down and go through all of them, which of course we're gonna do because I'm insane, I guess. In any case, let's move on to their traits here. So in addition to the traits you get just for being a dwarf, you also get a +1 to your intelligence score, and you gain access to Warder's Intuition. When you make an investigation check or an ability check using Thieves' Tools, you can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. A couple things worth noting about this. There's no limitation as to how many times you can use it. It doesn't just reset on a short rest or a long rest, it's always there, essentially putting you in a much better position, especially at those early levels when maybe your proficiency bonus isn't something you can rely on. It's really nice. And if you thought that was all, which, I mean, most DMs would argue it should be, there's even more. Yep, that's right. Let's check out its other traits. So first and foremost, you gain access to wards and seals. Once per long rest, you can cast the Alarm or Mage Armor spells with this trait. At 3rd level, you can also cast the Arcane Lock spell with it. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability modifier for these spells, and you don't need any material components for them when you cast them with this trait. Really cool stuff. Alarm is one of the more useful spells in the game, at least at early levels, before you gain access to things like Lehman's Tiny Hut. Alarm really just helps you protect your camp or whatever area you're resting in a lot better. And Mage Armor, of course, one of the more useful combat-orientated spells. Once again, especially at those early levels where you might not have the best equipment, or any equipment, depending on what your DM style might be. But if you thought that was all, you'd be wrong yet again. You also gain access to an extended spell list, very similar to the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica books. In this case, you gain access to Alarm and Armor of Agathist at level 1. At 2nd level, you gain access to Arcane Lock and Knock. 3rd level gets you Glyph of Warding and Magic Circle. 4th level, Lehman's Secret Chest and Mordenkainen's Faithful Hound. And at 5th level, you gain Anti-Life Shield. Overall, almost all of these are just fantastic spells. Especially if you're, let's say, a Eldritch Knight or something along that line, or any Gish caster in general. Armor of Agathist is going to help you out tons, especially at those early levels, of course. Knock is kind of a hit or miss spell. It's nice because if you don't have access to a thief type character, or the lock's arcane or trapped, this is a good way to get around it. However, with that being said, it does alert nearby enemies to your presence, so meh. You also gain that plus 1d4 to your Thieves' Tools check, so I don't know how much use Knock is going to get. However, Arcane Lock would make for some interesting roleplay opportunities. Glyph of Warding and Magic Circle are both drop dead amazing spells. Lehman's Secret Chest, and Mordenkainen's Faithful Hound are kind of hit or miss, but very cool flavor regardless. And Anti-Life Shield is of course a great spell. Now let's move on to my personal thoughts on the Mark of Warding Dwarf. So as with most supplements, with a few very notable ones, there are always going to be some elements of backlash whenever Wizards of the Coast publishes anything as to potential game-breaking exploits or overpowered something or another. It happened with Eberron, it happened with the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, it happens with the Variant Human all the time, and it happens with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Fact of the matter is, I firmly believe that the DM has more tools in their toolbox than the players will ever have in theirs. That being said, all of the marked races, or sub-races I guess technically, they have this weird thing where their power scaling is really good at those early levels, but as things progress and as class features become more and more important, it becomes less noticeable. With that said, though, the biggest problem that stems from these sub-races is how it makes other party members feel, right? To that, all I can say is, just be courteous, remember you're playing a co-op game, and make sure everyone feels useful to some semblance or another. Outside of that, though, I don't have an issue with them overall. The Mark of Warding Dwarf is an incredibly viable choice, in my opinion. It's really nice, and it can provide a ton of interesting lore and potential plot development, which is especially true if you're actually staying true to the Eberron lore. We don't talk about lore on this channel necessarily, but there's a ton of it, and anyone who plays DDO will kind of ramble on forever about it, which is fine. There's just a lot to it. In any case, let me know what you think of the Mark of Warding Dwarf down beneath in the comment section. Mention any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns you have regarding it. And with that being said, if you'd like to gain access to a free one-shot, please do check out the Guild Hall and use code WELCOME to get access to yours. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great day, and of course, happy adventuring. P.S. by the way, we're going to be releasing like a ton of videos in the next day or so here. I'm trying to get around 50, 60 or so done out of the gate, and then I have like 52 left to animate, I think, and then I'm done the races entirely. So bear that in mind, and just make sure you're tuned into the playlist, because there's no way in hell YouTube's going to alert you that these videos are being posted, especially because I post way too much content back to back. In any case, just brace yourself for it. I apologize if it's too much for you, but this channel's a resource channel more than anything else, so share your ideas down beneath, tune into the playlist, that's all I can ask. Click on one of the end screens or the little eye icon up top. So yeah, I hope you all have a great day and happy adventuring. Talk to you later, guys.